But I'd first like to understand first what's your current valuation and what's driving that.
Okay, thanks for having me, Kenneth. So our current valuation for MTN is around 3 trillion naira, which is 8.3 billion naira on a nominal basis. But on a per share basis, that translates to 147 naira per share. That's how we value MTN. So you say on a multiple basis, our exit multiple translates to a 2019 EV to EBITDA of 5.9 times. So if you look at what African peers are trading on currently, it's within a range of 3.0 to 8 times EV to EBITDA 2019. That's what African peers are trading on. But if you look at the Middle Eastern peers at the moment, about 5.7 times EV to EBITDA 2019. So our exit multiple for MTN is 5.9 times. We think MTN will justifiably trade at a higher range of the African multiples peers at 5.9 times for 2019.
All right, so looking at your report, I see that you have the view that the potential return is about 42% from current levels.
Yeah, so based on when we initiated our coverage, so we used the price for the 17th of May, which is our Friday close. So based on that level, we had 42% potential upside. But with the rally we've seen in the stock by the last 2 days, that upside should be lower to around 20% currently.
All right, but very interesting I'd like to get to know how you rank them amongst their African peers as well. You touched on it a little earlier, but I'd like you to kind of expand on that.
Okay, so if you look at MTN now, so I'd like to use MTN's current trading multiples. So currently, based on our estimates, it's currently around 4.5 times EV to EBITDA 2019 multiple for MTN. So if you look at the MTN group in South Africa, it's currently at 4.8 times. If you look at the favorite Safaricom, which is an African story in Kenya, it's 7.8 times EV to EBITDA. If you look at Maroc Telecoms, it's one of the giant telecoms company in Africa. It's around 8 times EV to EBITDA 2019. So that's why I say the range of African peers is between 3 to 8. But currently, MTN is on our estimates currently at 4.5, and we think that by the time it hits our fair value, it should be fairly priced at 5.9 times EV to EBITDA.
Yeah, I see currently the price is about just above 131 naira, and it's done the 10% already today. And you're already forecasting 147 already on the stock. How do you see things panning out in the week?
Well, there's a lot of demand for the stock really in the market, and obviously we have. I think the market hasn't seen the level of liquidity that it wants or it needs at this moment. So we're likely to still see the uptrend in the stock price, but we have a fair value of 147 at current levels.
All right, now let's look at the investment case in Nigeria and understanding the telecom market in Nigeria and the potential for growth for MTN. Earlier, you mentioned that the next phase of growth is going to be data driven.
Okay, yeah, so we've looked at MTN, we've looked at the historic growth. What we've seen traditional voice has been the key driver of revenue. It's still going to be the big part of revenue by the next 5 years at around 75% of revenue. But what we're seeing that growth in data segment that used to be like zero, maybe in 2016, very small, is becoming very, very important. So at 2018, that came down 16% of revenue. Based on our estimate, we think that by 2014, so by 2024, that will increase to 25% of revenue. That's data growth. We are beginning to see data come to stream, beginning a big part of MTN's revenue going forward.
All right, then I also know that the payment service bank, they're going to also be part of the payment service banks as well.
Yes. Well, so they've applied to the Central Bank of Nigeria. That hasn't been approved. I believe it's a work in progress. So when that happens also, we believe it to be a key catalyst also for MTN, given their reach, to be able to leverage on that, to be able to generate more revenue and earnings for shareholders.
All right, but since the listing by introduction on the stock exchange, we've seen the NSE try to clarify, some of the challenges that people have, the feedback they've gotten from stakeholders and in there. I'd like you to also address some of this, about the scarcity of the stock and also, whether it met the requirements for the listing.
Well, so it's a listing by introduction, and basically that's what you'll expect. So MTN, basically, based on what the NSE said and based on what's available in the public in the market, MTN has met the listing requirement for listing by introduction, and that's what the company has done.
All right, then. There were also some other article earlier that I saw were talking about the fact that MTN is trying to use debt to pay on the preference shares. Do you have any information on this, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on it.
Okay, so I was also fortunate to read that article, Kenneth, and when I read it, I found out that was wrong, because the 200 billion that MTN is raising currently will be used to fund capex and working capital, and also it's also good to put it out there that by law you're not allowed to borrow that's according to CAMA, the Company and Allied Matters Act. You're not allowed to borrow money to redeem preference shares, so that is factually not correct.
All right, then. Let's now take a look at their strategy for Nigeria. We've seen just before the whole listing thing, instituted an advisory board, where they named some prominent Nigerians in there. And when you look at when you backtrack on MTN in Nigeria, we know they've had some history of issues in there. We also know that there's a pending one, which is the case with the Attorney General of the Federation. When you look at all of this, I'd like you to look at their strategy in Nigeria and how they've handled the challenges they faced.
Well, so it's public news, really, about the fine, the earlier one of 330 billion, which the last payment of 55 billion will be done this month in May. So that will be off. The one with the CBN that relates to the CCI also, there's been a national payment of about $52.6 million. So that has been cleared. So going forward, I think when this fine started happening, what MTN has done is to look at the organizational structure, put in place solid risk management and compliance processes in place. They've hired someone to look at, the governance and all of that. So they're right in tune and up to date with happenings in the sector, and also things that they need to do going forward to avoid such level of fines or regulatory infractions going forward.
Okay, but I'd like to get your outlook on the stock. We know the CEO has also kind of hinted the fact that yes, there might likely be an IPO in future. But let's assume, let's say the regulatory issues are all sorted in Nigeria. I'd like to know what your valuation for the stock will be.
Well, so currently our valuation would remain, unchanged currently based on all the information we have at the moment. Like I said, the way we value MTN, we use a different valuation methodology. We use the DCF, we also use relative valuation methods, where we look at the EV to EBITDA multiples of peers in Africa and EMEA. So look at the EV to sales, price to sales, and price to earnings multiples. Except we say material earning multiple expansion across peers in Africa, then our views might change. But based on information we have right now and our analysis, our view will still remain the same for MTN.